very briefly on process. In undergrad, it was a challenging time for me. I had a little creative roadblock in my sophomore year and just could not bring myself to write things down. I struggled with the voices that I just struggled with the idea that someone else was going to take the bed eggs. And I just kind of shut down. And through a series of, through some time, taking time to sort of be, attend to myself, as I mentioned during my talk, I recognize the process is product, that they're not separate, that they are not two. The process is product, and that that one separates the two at one's peril. You know, to say that a piece is done when it's performed is true. It's an event in time, but it's just one part of an ongoing process. You know, we compose a life. To compose means to bring together, right? And so we compose a life, and out of that life, you know, we make music. So, so getting back to the process, for me, it's kind of like dipping in a river. You know, you just there are times where you need to make some music. And you just you breathe and you dip your hand into the river. You bring up light. You see what happens.
I'm an improviser, so I do what I call vomit tax. So I turn on the recorder and I just play until I feel, you know, something. And it could be an hour, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, and then I cut the recorder off and I go and play back. So, okay, most times I can only use about 5% of what I actually improvise, or maybe more. But again, that goes on to the craft and the technique. That's where that comes in. Taking that 5%, expanding it, and using it for a large scale piece.
You've given great responses here. And again, there are some similarities and yet some differences in what you have to say. But the most important thing is there is a way, and that is the most important thing. It's going to be different for every composer. And that is one of the things that I find so fascinating about studying composition, which I encourage any composer to do. You will find that every composer has his unique way of approaching things. You can hear only a few bars of some things and say, that's blank, blank, blank. Last night I was listening to William Grant Still, and there's so many things that are signature to his writing, because this is what he has cultivated as a part of his writing style and idiom, and in terms of resource material. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that, because I bet you, most of you can tell the difference between Mozart and Handel, and we can go on through these, talking about economy of ideas, listen to the Beethoven Fifth Symphony. So you've gotten to certainly the core of what I am asking of you, because in that sense, things are not so different than the way they have always been in the creative process. I do want to make sure that I allow just a minute for any of you who may have them to ask questions. We've got about 7 minutes.
Hi, Marcia Porter, Florida State University. I wanted to say thank you for your comments, all of you, about how important the text is and how that's something you hold on to and you hear in your head, and how much time you spend with text. Because as a teacher of voice, let me tell you, encouraging young singers to actually use the text, that's our vehicle. You know, it's a great struggle. And it wasn't a comment so much as a question, so much as a thank you to hearing about your process and how important the words are, and just how you take care with the voice and how to make sure that, as Professor Shirley said earlier, that syllabification is in the right place, and listening to the voice that you're writing for and taking care to let that voice shine. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing your music.
Thank you, Dr. Porter, for that comment. As singer and composer, I will say that that's an expression, that interpretation can serve a world of technical ills. Make music if you don't do anything else. So that, yeah, I appreciate that very much. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to Kira Gaunt, University of Albany, soon.
I graduated UNN, this was an extraordinary session. Just really phenomenal, each and every one of you. I sat here for a second in tears because I don't think, not this clearly maybe biased, but I don't think if I chose a random group of just a random group of black, white, different, just all white, that it would be so beautifully unique and sophisticated across the span. I was telling Tiffany this, you know, I mean, the things that we have to do to get where we are, to overcome the idea that you're a window to this, or that, you know, you've never seen a composer before. And I'm sure not unlike me, many of us are composers on this side, and we just don't call ourselves composers. But I'm not gonna lie, I was like, composer session. We're gonna talk about it, but to start with the music and talk about it, oh my God, it's so rare, and I'm grateful for whoever's vision that was, because it allowed us to start, as Miles Davis used to say, when somebody asked him, what is music? He said, I'll play it first and then we'll talk.
Hi, my name is Brandy Jones. I'm a graduate of Bennett College and Florida State University. I wanted to ask, as a singer, I've listened to composers who state that they want their composition performed exactly as they wrote it, word for word, note for note, don't deviate. And I just wonder, how comfortable are you with a singer who takes your composition and puts their own touch to it? Thank you, flavor. And I must admit, I'm primarily believe in spiritual, so I tend to think of it from that perspective these days. But even beyond that, even in this other styles besides spirituals, how much responsibility do you place on the performer to provide interpretive meaning to your composition?
Great question. It is a wonderful question, thank you for that. Yeah, I try not to micromanage my performers. I try and put as much information on the page as I possibly can. My job is to inspire the performer. Their job is to inspire an audience. That's my feeling.
There's some fellow Detroiters in here. And growing up in Detroit, we had a strong classical influence, a very strong R&B influence, and also a very strong jazz influence. And if you played in the Jimmy Wilkins band, it had a different flavor if you played with Marcus Belgrave. If you played under, if you went to hear DSO with Nina Yarvi, it would be different than its predecessors. Even recordings, the Beethoven 5 recordings with Kleiber is different than Bert Singers. So everyone has their room to grow. So once again, just to echo off Andre, just, I don't micromanage at all. Let them do what they do, because that's why they're a performer. I can't sing, so I'm definitely not gonna tell them to sing what to sing.
Well, listen, since I'm the moderator, I'm gonna claim squatters' rights on this question. I'm also a bit old school, and I say that for this reason, and my students will certainly know that. You have to always be very careful to analyze what allows room for free improvisation. The composer writes what he writes for a purpose. And I will not call the name, but a person walked up to a performer, I'm certainly not gonna call the name, and said, "That was really, really nice. I loved your arrangement. And I hope you get around to singing mine one day." And the reason was there was just simply too much that did not accommodate that. You have to know what allows for improvisation. And there are sometimes important elements in a composition that have very much to do with the cohesiveness of the work itself. A single note or a phrase or a kind of passage that is used where you're using some very specific materials that is integrally a part of the work. You don't want people to feel they can just, handle almost through a couple of singers out of the window. As much as he allowed for improvisation, for singing too many wrong things and aggrandizing themselves as a singer. There is a difference between interpretation and improvisation. And interpretation is taking what material is there and bending it and shaping it as you would like, and perhaps even choosing some alternative dynamics, but it does not mean changing the scheme of the piece by adding or taking out too many notes. And I hope nobody's offended, but that is my last word, and I'm the moderator, and that do it, all right?
We didn't get around to really introducing your moderator, and he's a special person. I do want to say that as a graduate in both voice and composition, he speaks with authority from both sides, and his wonderful years as leading the program at Morehouse College and a proud alum of the University of Michigan. So I'd like to thank Yuzi Brown for his wonderful leading of the session. Song cycle for me, 3 Pauli Murray songs that are just fab. Pauli Murray, yeah. And I'd like to thank each of the panelists. I wanted to bring some up and coming and more, I wanted you to hear some contemporary voices and some seasoned voices, let me put it that way, so that you have a wide spectrum. And I'd like to thank all of you for being here and being a part of this. Session. I hope the conversations continue. There's lots more to think about, but you have lunch free sitting out there in the lobby. Go enjoy yourself. We'll see you back at 2:30. For anyone who's interested, I have some handouts.
Ethan Wood here. Nice to meet you. Thank you very much. Thanks. Did she give you her contact information? Let's just pass that on. You can get her through the so we said definitely that's great. Where do you see? Yeah, exactly. You got to do something together. I guess you can say actually my undergraduate voice professor at Morehouse. So it's really so good. And I'll be participating in the National Association of Yes. I had heard of it, but I didn't know the website. So we just had a celebration. So I get a lot on that. So I don't want to so anyway, I didn't know about this. And then all of a sudden, she sent an email to me. Yeah. I just didn't think about it being so